So what you can see on your screen, on probably the right-hand side of your screen, allows you to minimize or expand the panel. You can view the other attendees that are joining the call today. You can ask questions directly in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. In order to unmute you, we need to have you enter an audio pin, which you can see kind of in the middle audio section of the screen. So hopefully you're familiar with, or this introduction gets you familiar enough with using the tool to be able to interact, because I'm happy to interact throughout the orientation today. Our agenda for the day, I would like to go over an overview of the program and the incentives that are available, the program process for securing those incentives, the requirements of the partner team that you will need to secure in order to qualify for the program, how we implement quality assurance and quality control over all the work that's being done in the program, a brief overview of the combustion appliance safety testing that's done, and then contact information and follow-up information that might be interesting for you. This Multifamily Upgrade Program is a limited funding opportunity. We are accepting projects on a first-come, first-served basis. 2015 was the first full program year that this program has been in operation. Before that, there was a brief pilot, and the program has continued, was successful in 2015, and will continue into 2016, but the funding is not exhaustive, so please submit an interest form or an application as early as you might be interested in the program. And let me jump right into what an overview of our 2016 status looks like. We had 31 properties that participated, with a pretty good mix of market rate and affordable properties. Typically, affordable properties are much more interested or motivated, I guess I should say, out of the gate for performing whole building performance upgrades, but we found actually the opposite is true. So market rate and affordable properties were both interested, and both properties benefited their bottom line by securing incentives through our program. On the high end of the energy savings spectrum, we had a project that achieved nearly 50% reduction in energy use because of the upgrades that were incentivized through this program, with the average being right around 20%. Our minimum barrier to entry in the program is 10% improvement, and that's the lowest project that completed through our program in 2015. The average incentives per project, which is probably the most useful figure for you to take away from this presentation, is around $54,000. So I'll get into a little bit more on the incentives here in a minute, but these are incentives totaled for the property or for the project. We pay out incentives on a per unit basis, and we pay them out building by building. And typically that incentive covered about 1/4 of the project cost. What we're looking to do in this program, as you can see from the graphic here on the slide, is whole building performance. So we're driving energy savings as much energy savings as we can capture in one project. And we're looking at the entire building, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. So that includes insulation, that includes windows, that includes heating and cooling systems, lighting, property level loads. This is a full whole property, whole building program. And what that means is the program offers incentives based on the performance of the proposed scope of work. So your property may have some needs or may have some opportunities to upgrade for both aesthetics and for energy efficiency needs. Both in-unit and common area upgrades qualify for the program, and the energy savings are documented through an energy simulation software called Energy Pro. So once we model your real property in an energy simulation software, we then come up with a proposed incentive value for the scope of work that you're proposing. All of this work is done by qualified partners, so we have a list of approved raters who will help perform an assessment and energy simulation of the project, as well as qualified contractors who will install the measures per the specifications. If you have contractors that you're already familiar and comfortable with working with, we're happy to enroll new contractors and raters into the program, and I'll get into a little bit more detail later on about what are the qualifications and requirements of becoming a qualified partner in the program. The participation benefits available to properties that want to move through the program are between $700 and $2,300 per unit in incentives for the project. So this is a huge range, and the incentives, I'll show you in a minute, actually increase. So it's not a linear rise, and that's with the aim of motivating projects to install as much energy efficient equipment as possible in one fell swoop. These whole building upgrades throughout 2015 have been implemented to boost net operating income, and we have some case studies to show that. There are lower utility and maintenance costs when you update old equipment, or the potential for that depending on how the scope of work plays out. In addition, we're studying how this affects turnover rates, and we're finding some really compelling evidence that, especially in California, multifamily residents are seeking a product, if you want to think about it that way, are seeking a place to live that is comfortable, beautiful, and also environmentally conscious. And this program can help your property get there. It'll also help your bottom line. So not only does this appeal to residents, but it also attracts investors, and it lowers, it increases the value of the property on a whole. So it has a potential through these upgrades to lower the capital expenditure rate on the project. There's also an opportunity to increase the asset value. So these energy efficiency upgrades are no longer purely just for energy reduction. They're very much needed to keep pace with the market in terms of California residents' wants and needs and desires, as well as keeping pace with your bottom line, making sure your bottom line is profitable and beneficial for you and your projects. As I said before, this is a whole building and frankly really more of a whole property level of program. So anything you see on the screen, and even some of the things you don't see on the screen on the bottom half of the screen there, in terms of measures, are eligible. As promised, here's one case study of a project that we did in 2015. So this is a project that's located in Berkeley, California. It was a 24-unit, it still is a 24-unit multifamily property, and it was in it underwent almost a full gut retrofit. So with that full retrofit, they installed brand new and better insulation. They replaced the central boiler. They improved the insulation, lighting, and appliances all in the units. So it's a pretty comprehensive scope of work. And overall, the project saw huge savings and a very large incentive through our project. Our goal for the program is to retrofit 2,000 dwelling units in this calendar year, basically. So our program is running from January of 2016 through November of 2016. And if we're successful again this year, we expect that this program will launch again in 2017. The timeline here is really just to make sure that projects are capable of and interested in actually moving through this program. So if you have a project that's on kind of the saddle period after November 2016, please still feel free to talk to us, and we will work out an arrangement with you to join either the program waitlist, or we can restructure the project potentially to have it complete in phases. And I can talk a little bit more in specifics about that if you're interested. So this is the goals and the timeline of the program as a whole. And here's the eligibility for the program. So projects are eligible to participate if they are multifamily buildings, they have 5 or more attached units. So I want to get into the 5 or more attached units requirement a little bit. properties that are a large collection of small buildings are typically, they kind of fit in a weird place in terms of whether or not we consider these properties multifamily or single family. In this program, we're happy to accept those projects so long as one building has 5 or more attached units. It might be a little bit confusing to understand, but I'm happy to get into details about your specific project. Just give us a call or by email or chat us today. So all multifamily projects that have at least 5 or more units in one building on the property are considered multifamily property and eligible for the upgrades. As I said before, affordable and market rate projects are eligible, and we do work with some high-rise multifamily projects. So high-rise projects are eligible also. This is a retrofit program, so these projects have to be existing construction. Although we have started to see some interest from projects that are changing residence type. So we're working on a couple projects that are a church being renovated into a multifamily building, and another one is a hotel being retrofitted into a multifamily building. So as long as the project is going to be a multifamily space when it's left over, or when the project is completed, the project is potentially eligible. Minimum threshold for participation is 10% energy savings, and those 10% have to come from 2 measure categories, and I'll get into that here in just a minute. Gas or electric service must be from PG&E. So this program is being funded by PG&E, and you can see on the right-hand side of your screen the range of PG&E's service territory. In the areas where a project might receive gas or electric only service from PG&E, we still work with those projects, and there are potential incentives through other utility companies such as SMUD in the Sacramento region and Southern California Gas in the Southern California or near Southern California, near the LA basin. So as I mentioned just a minute ago, eligible upgrades must come from at least 2 measure categories, and together must combine to at least 10% improvement. So the measure categories are the envelope, lighting and appliances, HVAC, and domestic hot water. Within each of these categories, there are multiple measures that are potentially good candidates for your project, both in terms of cost effectiveness, energy efficiency, health for the residents, as well as aesthetics. So to give you an example, if you are considering changing out windows and installing insulation, that would not qualify as 2 eligible measures because both of those measures are considered in the envelope category. So we would work with you, and your partner rater would work with you to identify whether their measures, what other options for the building would make financial sense for you, for your project. But beyond the 2 measures, there is no upper limit to the amount of work that can be done, and there are increasing incentives available for very deep retrofits. So the program requires that you pick at least 2 measures from at least 2 measure categories. The incentives start at $600 per unit, and they rise by $25 per unit per percent improvement up to 24%. And then beyond that, there is an increasing jump per percent improvement. The incentive goes up by $50 per unit as opposed to 25. So this is where I was saying before that the projects stand to make a lot more money if there's a much deeper scope of work being installed. I want to be clear about the dollar figures here too. In our earlier slides, I mentioned that the minimum was $700 per unit and the maximum was $23.75 per unit. There is an additional incentive for the project that is the assessment incentive. So there is an incentive to help offset the cost of hiring a rater and having that rater perform an assessment and develop an energy simulation for your project. That assessment starts at $100, and it also begins to increase more rapidly at 25% improvement to $125 per unit. So I guess the short of it is there are two separate incentives, and as an owner, the owner can decide whether or not those incentives should be paid directly to the rater, or directly to the contractor, or directly to the owner. So that the incentives are offered, one is specifically for helping with the assessment costs, and one is specifically for helping with the upgrade costs. But the incentive monies are flexible to be paid to however the contracts work out between the property owner, rater, and contractor. All right, I'm going to move on into the program process. So I've given you a little bit of detail on the benefits of the program, the measures required, the eligibility requirements of the program, as well as the incentives and sort of progress to date. So now I'm going to give you an overview of how this program works on the ground level. So there are 5 basic steps to reserving an incentive. First, we ask that you submit an interest form, and that can be done online on our website, which I will provide you a link to through this presentation. Or if you want to go there now, it's multifamilyupgrade.com. The next step is to hire a rater and a contractor. There are, as I said before, pre-qualified raters and contractors. Those are also available on our website, multifamilyupgrade.com. Or you can bring in your own contractor, and we can work with them to make sure that they meet the rules and requirements of the program. Next is to complete a program agreement. This agreement is an agreement that's signed between the property owner, the partner rater, and the partner contractor. So it's a three-person agreement. The next step is to participate in a site visit, and that's an assessment an assessment conducted by the rater, and to document the potential energy savings for the project. And the 5th step is to reserve an incentive to document what the proposed scope of work looks like and what the potential for incentive is for the project. So our interest form is online, and you can download it. You can also download a PDF version of it if you would prefer, as opposed to filling it out online. And that's all available through our website, multifamilyupgrade.com. We, on the interest form, are asking for basic project information and planned upgrades. We are, I'm just going to be honest a little bit, we're a little bit of energy geeks over here at TRC. So if you have an interest form, if you have interest in your project but you're not really sure if there's potential, or if the scope of work that you're thinking about makes sense, please feel free to give us a call or to submit an interest form with that level of detail. So we're happy to work with all forms of projects, fully fledged, fully formed ideas, and projects that are just looking for some support. And we're happy to help with anything in between. So send us your interest forms with just basic project information. That's name, units, address, what kind of upgrade scope are you thinking about, and what is your timeline for these upgrades. And as I said before, we're happy to work with longer-term timeline projects. So if you've got a project that you know is going to get funding in 2017, let us know now, and we'll put it on. We'll make sure that it's enrolled on a wait list, and that you can be first in line when the time comes. After you submit an interest form or somehow notify us that you're interested in getting some more information about your project, we will conduct a pre-enrollment meeting where we discuss all of this for your project specifically. So we're happy to get deep in the weeds or stay at the 10,000-foot view in terms of eligibility, savings potential, scope options, and kind of program process next steps. We can do all of this by just the information that you and potentially your maintenance or maintenance supervisor or maintenance person has on the top of their head. So we just need to know kind of rough guide existing property conditions, and we can start to kind of pinpoint what the opportunity is at that project. The next step is to hire a rater and a contractor. So once we conduct the pre-enrollment meeting, once we learn some detail about the project through your interest form, we will give you our best advice about whether or not we think there is potential for your project to meet the 10% improvement in the program, and what kind of incentive potential is for your project. This service is provided free to you so that you can have all of the information you would need to make an intelligent decision before you decide to hire a partner rater and a partner contractor. So these early steps are very much just TRC providing support to the property owner to make sure that the right decisions are being made. Once you hire a rater and a contractor, we ask that you fill out a program agreement, which, as I said before, is a documentation of the owner, rater, and contractor who are engaged in the project, and that's pretty much it. We want to make sure that the three parties have agreed to move forward on this project before we invest a significant amount of time in supporting and reviewing and processing each project. Part of this agreement requires that each of the participants agree to the program policies. One of the major program policies is combustion appliance safety testing. The issue that I'm calling this out on this slide, and the reason that I wanted to discuss with all of you, is combustion safety is an important aspect of multifamily buildings, specifically multifamily retrofit projects. With energy efficiency upgrades in the multifamily building space, there's a decent potential of creating or leaving behind a building that is potentially having combustion appliance firing issues, and that's due to the nature of the measures that we recommend for these projects. So typically in energy efficiency in multifamily, the opportunities are insulation, changing out lighting and appliances, including fans, changing out heating and air conditioning, including fans, and probably the biggest single measure is domestic hot water. So with each of those kind of measure options that I just mentioned has an impact on the overall combustion appliance operation in each unit. If, for example, you live in a dwelling unit of a multifamily building and you have a cooking stove that is not safe to operate, or is firing in a poorly combustion, if the combustion is firing poorly and leaving carbon monoxide behind with the tenants, and you change the insulation or you change the windows in that dwelling unit, there's a potential now that those combustion gases, which were less of a problem because they were being vented sort of through the draftiness of the building, now that draftiness has been removed for energy efficiency, for the energy efficiency project that's incentivized through the program. And before we leave the building, we want to make sure that each and every dwelling unit and the entire building as a whole is operated safely, and that each person that lives in that space is comfortable and is not at potential harm for combustion safety issues. So combustion appliance safety is one of the policies that we enforce and that we require of each project team to ensure that the projects are healthy. The site visit is conducted by your partner rater, and the site visit will help to identify a little bit more in detail on the potential scope of work and the potential for the scope of work in terms of incentive payments and percent improvement. The site visit will also begin to identify combustion safety potential issues or potentially combustion safety issues that are pre-existing on the building. The energy assessment is aligned with some other similar style requirements of projects. And the energy simulation, or sorry, the energy assessment is meant to be the foundation for building an energy simulation model. The models that we use are Energy Pro version 5, and the energy simulation, the energy model using Energy Pro, will produce a report that tells you exactly how much projected energy savings is available, and we can help you with how much incentive that would generate for your project. The scope of work development is a flexible and iterative process, so you can work with the partner rater, and again, you can always engage us at TRC, the program administrators, on changes to or upgrades to a scope of work. So the scope of work up till this point is pretty fluid and is pretty open to investigation and management decision making. There's also an option for program mentoring. So this is a new option that we're unveiling this year, but the program is available to attend the pre-enrollment site visit and help to identify additional scope of work free to charge to the owner. We would be working with the partner rater and really just making sure that the partner rater has all of the information they need to work with you on developing the right scope of work for the project. Once the rater has worked with you, the property owner, to agree on a approved and complete scope of work, that's when we reserve an incentive for the program. So the rater will submit a complete test-in package, which includes the energy simulation that I just talked about. An Econ 2, that terminology there just means the output report from the energy simulation file. We ask to review data collection forms and photos of existing conditions, as well as the comprehensive assessment report and the construction schedule. Once we've reviewed and approved all of this documentation, we submit to you and to the project team a letter of reservation. This letter of reservation is effectively a notice to proceed that you can begin construction, and it outlines and reserves the incentive available for the project if the project moves forward with installing the upgrades as specified. Once the project construction timeline is complete, the partner rater will conduct verification of the project. The rater is required to verify upgrade installation of the measures, and they're also required to verify that combustion safety, appliance safety, is adhered to. Once the rater has verified this information on site, they will submit a test out package to us at TRC, to the program, and the program will review this documentation and ensure that the project was installed to manufacturer's specifications, as well as the equipment and materials and controls that were installed were all installed and working according to the program expectations. I should mention here, actually, there is an opportunity at verification for projects to change their scope of work. So we will reserve the incentive for a project with a particular scope of work, but if during construction for a variety or for whatever reason, if that scope changes, we can be flexible to that. So that has a potential to benefit or potential to hinder a project. And what I mean by that is if your project has specified that you're going to install a brand new domestic hot water system, and that domestic hot water system is going to have a combustion efficiency of 97%, and then you went through construction and you tried to get the piece of equipment that you specified, and the distributor that you were working with tells you that the piece of equipment that you specified is no longer available. It's not being sold any longer, but they have a new piece of equipment that's 98% efficient. We can change the specification at the back end to offer you a higher incentive for that project. So our goal with verification is to document exactly what was performed and to pay an incentive commensurate with those upgrades. Once verification is complete and once the program has completed its verification review of the project, we will issue an incentive check or checks. So getting back to what we talked about earlier today, there's an opportunity for the project team, which consists of a property owner, a partner rater, and a partner contractor. Any two of those three parties can receive the incentives. So the incentives are kind of flexible to be paid to whomever and however you like. Typically, we find that owners and raters and then owners and contractors will contract amongst themselves, and then part of that contract will stipulate where the incentive should be paid, and that's all fine. We will issue an incentive completion letter, which will notify you that the project has been reviewed and has been requested for payment, as well as all of the upgrades that were installed and confirming that the project meets our combustion appliance safety, that's the CAS acronym there, requirements. Okay, I want to give you some information about the qualifications of your partners, the partners on your team. Partner rater, the term rater refers to a person who is a third-party independent energy consultant. The term rater helps to sort of couch their work in more than just assessment. They're actually providing you with some kind of rating or some kind of quantitative estimation of the performance and the quality of the project that you're scoping. And their requirements are listed on the screen here. So projects that hire a rater, and this rater qualification review is all done by us here at TRC. So there is a list of already qualified raters who meet these criteria, and we can talk with any interested parties on how to become an eligible rater in the program. But we ask that if properties are going to be doing just energy modeling, if raters are going to be doing just energy modeling, they simply need a certified energy analyst or a California HERS whole house rater certification. If they're going to be doing combustion appliance safety testing, we ask that they have an additional certification, which is the BPI Building Analyst. BPI stands for Building Performance Institute. We have additional requirements for high-rise projects. We ask that projects that are high-rise use a rater that has a BPI Multifamily Building Analyst certification. BPI, for your information, is the Building Performance Institute, and ResNet is a national home energy rating system affiliation. We also accept one local sort of qualification. That's the Greenpoint Rater Existing Home Multifamily certification. So I think that the reason that I wanted to go through this in a little more detail with all of you is we want you to be comfortable and confident that whoever you hire as a qualified partner rater in your projects has been vetted not just by us, but by had to go through additional qualification and certification requirements. And we think that the partner raters that are serving this program are the best in the business here in California. So we think that you're in good hands, and we're happy to work with them and work with you on these projects. Contractor qualifications are much simpler. So we ask that contractors have and are licensed through the California State Licensing Board, and that at the minimum they're required to hold either an A, B, or C license. We recommend that contractors have an additional certification of either a PE or a BPI building analyst, and this is really to take building contracting sort of to the next level in terms of understanding the energy use as well as the design implications of some of their decisions. Part of this program's impetus and what we're trying to get done here is a bit of changing the industry to make it so that projects are not simple box changeouts, and that contractors specifically are not are constantly stepping up their game and constantly installing equipment, but also installing materials in the most efficient and intelligent and resource-conscious way. What I meant before by box changeouts is there's a prevalent industry trend for when a piece of heating and cooling equipment, for example, let's say your HVAC system breaks, and you call a contractor and you say that your system is broken. What they're going to do typically is grab a similar sized, similar type heating and cooling system and do a simple replacement, a box changeout. What we're trying to incentivize through this program is when your piece of heating and cooling equipment breaks, offering some support and some assistance for the property to take a more thorough review of how the project is operating and determine whether or not there might be additional work that can be done to improve, not just to make the heating and cooling system work again, but also to improve the operation of that heating and cooling system. So minimum requirements for the contractors are general contractor or specialty contractor requirements, and recommended a little bit more on the energy efficiency review and scope. Combustion safety testing is required to be performed by the rater, and this helps to identify health and safety issues, and it's based on nationally implemented and recognized standards. To give you a brief idea of what combustion appliance safety testing is, rater will conduct combustion analyzer test, which is a piece of equipment which analyzes the carbon monoxide concentration in an airstream. So they'll take a probe and they'll investigate what the combustion mix is at the outlet of your oven, your stove, your potentially your domestic hot water unit if it's in your unit, anything that uses combustion gas. Gravity wall furnace is another place. So what the rater will do is they'll investigate the combustion performance of that piece of equipment. They will also investigate whether or not the combustion gases that are leaving that piece of equipment are vented outside, or if those gases are spilling, we call it, and accumulating within the dwelling unit. So this test is to help make sure that each dwelling unit is having proper venting, and that each of the combustion appliances is not endangering the health and well-being of the tenants. As an owner, you agree to address these issues. So if a rater identifies that there are issues that will be required for you to address as part of these projects. And we have dealt with that this year, and it's overall been a great experience for everybody involved. So this might seem like a high hurdle to jump for this program, but our experience with 2 properties that had combustion safety issues during 2015 was that both properties reported back to us that overall they were appreciative and happy that they had to spend the extra energy reviewing and fixing these combustion safety issues, because it offers them, the owners, an opportunity to communicate with their tenants about the quality of work that was being done at the project, and give the tenants a little bit better understanding of why these tests were being performed, as well as why the work needed to happen. So it's an additional layer of work, but we think this is a vital piece of the overall process, we want to make sure that all of the work that we do is conscious of not just the widget we're fixing, but the whole building health, frankly, the health of the tenants that within the entire building as a whole. So this is a important aspect of our program, and we're happy to work with you on making sure that you understand all of the details and all of the requirements that go into this piece of the program. All of our project case studies, which we're going to be continually adding to throughout this year and hopefully beyond, are available on our website, as well as the participant handbook. This handbook is really a useful document for property owners to get a summary sort of documentation on all of these details that I've gone through today. So that file is available on our website. I've given you the direct link here, but you can go through multifamilyupgrade.com and you will be able to find it available for download pretty easily. It's on the owner resources page of that website. We are available at any time to talk about anything related to your project. So I am Mike Maroney, and I'm the technical manager, and you see my email on the screen there. The program manager is a colleague of mine by the name of Sophia Hartkoff. You're welcome to email her directly. Our project coordinator, who handles all of the day-to-day details about projects, is Shannon Todd, and you're happy to email her directly. Probably your easiest case of getting a hold of one of us is either through the toll-free phone listed on the page here, or emailing our general email box, which is multifamilyupgrade@trcsolutions.com. And also, you'll get our attention if you go to the multifamilyupgrade.com website and fill out an interest form, and we'll be in touch with you on following up on that request for more information. With that said, we look forward to working with you in 2016 and potentially beyond. We're offering what we think are really great and some of the leading incentives in the nation for multifamily retrofit programs. And we think we're doing it in a way that's healthy for the tenants, healthy for the buildings, and healthy for the economy by using all third-party raters and contractors and really building a sustainable network of qualified professionals to get this work done for you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer them with our remaining time. There was a question about how can we get a copy of this recorded webinar. I should have mentioned that before, but thank you for asking. In addition to the resources available on the multifamilyupgrade.com website, all of our program trainings, as well as our higher level program orientations, such as this presentation, are available on our YouTube page. So you can get to the YouTube page by going to multifamilyupgrade.com, and there's a link on our website. You can also search in Google just YouTube Multifamily Upgrade, and you'll find us, or you can search in YouTube for Multifamily Upgrade. Our page has a list of, I think it's over 17 technical trainings that we completed in 2015, and a couple additional orientation opportunities. So if you're still looking for more of my voice on a presentation, that's your place to go. All of them are available on YouTube, as well as this one. So I'm going to record this once we're complete here, and I will upload it to YouTube, and it'll be available by the end of the week there for easy recording and sharing. Are there any other questions or details that I can provide any of you about how the program works or next steps for participating? Okay, well, I thank you all very much for your time, and especially for bearing with me at the beginning through technical difficulties. And we really look forward to hearing from you and working with you on delivering a lot of energy efficient multifamily buildings in California in 2016 and beyond. So from Mike Maroney and all of us here at TRC, thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.